Good evening and welcome to WriterGreg on Twitch.tv. I'm glad that you could all make it, and for those who will be watching on the VODs or on YouTube after the fact, glad that you could make it and spend some time with me. Today, as we have for the past couple of weeks, we are working on WorldAnvil Summer Camp 2020, where we are going to spend hopefully some time to catch up. Earlier this morning in my time zone, in the evening in British Standard Time, the next 10 prompts were released by WorldAnvil, and so we have some catching up to do. And it's okay because there's still time left in the month, and but the goal still is to do everything on stream and to try to get those things going. So glad for anyone who is able to make it, and we definitely will try to get everything in. And there we go. We have a raid. Welcome everyone from Zog Mad Dog. Welcome to the WriterGreg stream. Gambate, hey Dinosaur Bob, Mergador, raid. Welcome. Glad that everyone could come. And glad to see you all here. Danny, DM Stretch, welcome. Dinosaur Bob, thank you so much for all joining me tonight as we work on a couple of prompts. And hopefully we'll be able to get through 2 prompts tonight and be able to move forward with that. Let's jump over to the screen. I want to share some stuff before we start going. For no reason, welcome, Gambate. And I forgot to start the Linux OBS. Let's see, there we go. As with everything, like to have a huge shout out to the Anvilite Streamer Corps, many of whom you are either members of or have already heard much about. Glad to be a part of this great group. Lorraine, bark, fly free jailbird, the living sun, roar, Gambate, light up the forge, attack from the Hefflings. It was Map Monday with Delian. Wow, you have been on a lot today. A lot of great streams represented in there. And if you're curious to know more about those streams, for those who may be new to the Anvilite Streamer Corps WorldAnvil Summer Camp 2020, you can visit the Anvilite Streamer Corps and see a calendar of all of these great world builders who are there. I don't know, Bob. I don't know if she forgot anyone there. So we are here at the start today. We do have some others who it looks like Zog has gone over to me now, as he's rated me, and we do have some others D&D streams going on tonight, but tonight we will be focusing on WorldAnvil summer prompts. Lorraine has been continuing her bombing all day, and speaking of bombings, you may see some new loyalty badges in the corner there, and I wanted to share a little bit about what I had been doing over the weekend. And so there you should be able to see it. Over the weekend, while I was watching a lot of the other streams, I was able to complete some loyalty badges here for what is available. We have our base that thanks to Lorraine, Danny, and others have graciously either purchased or have received gifts for. But then we have our 2-month with a bronze medal, 3-month with silver, 6-month for gold, which is the exact same color as the lemon yellow. Then we have an emerald, yes, that is an emerald, for 9 months. And then we have the purple one for a diamond for 1 year. So these are the lemons. And if you do a 2nd tier or a 3rd tier of subscription, then you would get those flares on top. So that was what I was working on over the weekend. And I do want to show you a preview here This is this is Inkscape. It is an open source vector program similar to Adobe Illustrator, and what I have here are some templates that I purchased from some artists online, where you can go and fill in the templates. You can use these to build your own letters and stuff like that. And what this will be is it's a lemonade emote. So eventually I'll get this built along with the others, and those who are subscribers will be able to have a lemonade emote, and so this is the start of it, the progress I've made so far. So that is something that will be coming out, well, soon, hopefully, not sure. All right, so we can close that. I do want to refresh. We did have a new follower who joined us while I was off stream. It's Hongan Oz. I hope I pronounced that right. They started following while I was off stream and just wanted to give thanks during that process. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the streams. So here is we have another follower coming in. Oh, Noah, raid. Thank you, Danny, for the raid. Or no, the host. Sorry. Sometimes these are really small, and I wish I had a bigger monitor down here, but we'll see what happens. All right, so this is the document created by eSongbird and contributed to by many members of the WorldAnvil Streamer Core, the Anvilite Streamer Core, and anyone who wants to take a part of this. This is, I see Sable, Danny Lorraine, DM Stretch have all added to this, and this is an unpacking document where you can go in and you can be able to see what other people they may have regarding what they want to do for summer camp. So if you have some ideas, feel free to come in here, follow the instructions on the top of the document, and let's get world building. So tonight, I hope to be able to, as the title said, get through 2 prompts tonight. And I did start a little side project on my phone, and using another service called either Trio or Trello, depending on your views on the double L and how you pronounce that. And so let me bring that over. No, that's my Twitch improvement board. See, I have one thing here for the loyalty badges that are done. I have this here on how to. I most likely what words, lemon hype, and it's a lemonade are the 3 emotes that I'm working on. But this is just to help keep me organized. Danny, so much building. I'm gonna be working and lurking. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, we'll all be working and lurking tonight. I got a roar and a hype. A raid emote would work for number 3. Okay. The double L has a completely different pronunciation in Welsh. Yeah, I speak a little bit of Spanish and had Spanish in junior high and high school, and so when I see the Trello, I say Treo, because double L is not something you frequently see in English, unless it's yellow or who knows what. Never mind. What are words? All right, so let's go over to. Maybe while we're starting, I wanted to. I'll show you this. This is a new board that I've set up for after summer camp, when I get back into writing my short story fiction a lot more. And may look a little bit of an overkill, but I just want to, yeah, yellow, mellow, jello. Yeah, that I before E, except after C rule, it's bogus. So I just, so what I'm planning on doing here is I can add a card for something when I have an idea. I would be able to add a card here, and let's just say NaNoWrimo 2020 project, and I can now add a card. And then on my phone, let me just get that here. Then here, when okay, so you may or may not be able to see the similar project here, but then I can type in that project and I have, yeah, I have the same card right there, and then I can work on my projects here as well. And where I do my fairy tale analysis, I create my characters, brainstorming, integration into my Sagadorm world, and each one of these steps helps get me towards where I do my character development for primary and others. I talk about groups. You know, we have the groups template in WorldAnvil, and now we have our plotting, and this is where I can start building the plots in WorldAnvil, then location development. I follow the scene sequel process of building a scene. We can talk more about that. Then here we get into the drafting, development editing, line editing, the motivational reaction units, deep POV, filter words, passive voice. And after I've done all of that, then I can send that out for critiques. And after critiques, I throw the card back over here to developmental editing. I can work on it and then send it through that process as many times as I feel is necessary until I have something that is ready for submission. And then I can put here, and whether I submit it for a contest, submit it for a magazine or a contest, I think I said contest, or get it ready for publication on WorldAnvil, I can automatically sit down and see what do I need to be working on. And so as summer camp draws to a conclusion and we start ramping up more normal fiction writing in August, you'll be seeing a lot more of this. But until then, I do have my WorldAnvil articles, not as complicated, because we just have the idea prompt or a change that needs to be done. I complete the change, I polish the change, and then I can publish it, make it public. Now this is kind of different in WorldAnvil Summer Camp, where I make it public before I polish it. And those of who have seen my writing sprints before have noticed they are not polished at all. And that's okay. This is about getting done, not getting polished as far as WorldAnvil goes. So tonight we will be working on 18 and 19 Summer Camp, write about the events of a natural disaster in your world, either past or present. And the only notes that I have on this one so far is called The Great Decimation. Excuse me. And as a reminder, I do. There are the lemon channel points. I have. There is a feature that you can do. Oh, come on. I don't know how to do. Oh, where did this all go? Okay. So, sorry about that. Why is this? Why are you doing all this? Okay. So, I do plan on making available the different requests. If you have a showcase that you would like to do for one of your articles, They are available for changing in for your for lemons earned by watching the stream, and bonus lemons for being a subscriber. And I'm limiting it to 2 tonight because of the number of prompts I need to finish tonight, and it is a school night. Even though my kids aren't in school, I have to go to work in the morning. So that is available. And so the first 2 people who, quote unquote, use their channel points to purchase those critiques will be the ones who I will be doing at that later tonight after we get these prompts done. Or we'll do a prompt, a critique, a prompt, and a critique. And then we'll see how it goes, and then we may open it up further depending on how much time that we have left. So with that, we need to get going. And about the natural disasters, we're not going to use this document, but I did want to show that it was available for those who wanted to use it. And we'll see who we're following when we're done with that. Okay, so let's move. Oh, wrong side of the screen. And let's switch over to our dictation. There we go. All right, write about a natural. Great. All right, Bob. All right, you're the first to redeem that. Okay, there's the link. All right, I'm gonna copy that link address. I will put it right here. Then what we will do is we will do one of my articles. Then we'll do the critique, the showcase. Then we'll go back, do another one, and if anyone has a secondary one, feel free to throw that in there. Okay, now this is write about the events of a devastating natural disaster in your world, either past or present. All right, this is a law template. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at this. Well, first of all, let's get to the navigation. Put it in Summer Camp. Just take off the draft. Say, no, can't, I need to. This is the Great Decimation of Fairy Kind. All right. Okay, physical, metaphysical law. Okay, interesting. Vignette, manifestation, localization, type. Okay, is that no other subsections here? No, that's it. Manifestation, sidebars, design, navigation. Okay, so this looks like we'll just be going pretty free form on this. I'll just talk about what the decimation is. That'll transcribe it, and we'll be able to throw that into the article, and we'll call that good. And I do have a lot of cleaning up that I need to do, but and that's why I haven't really been submitting critiques on the other wonderful members of the Anvilite Streamer Corps, is because I just really don't want to show transcriptions of a dictation. Natural law for natural disaster, or metaphysical law for magical disaster. Yes, it is a pretty open template. Well, that's okay, because I'm not exactly sure how. I did run my idea on the WorldAnvil prompt show with Janet and Dimitri, and so let's just talk about this. All right, let's. I got to pull up my transcription window, and we'll just go with that. Let's see. I do have a new thing that I hope to be able to feature more. There's a program called Snaz, S-N-A-Z, and it's a version 1.12.7.0, and it's a free Windows application where you can include a timer. For those of you who may have noticed at the beginning of my stream on the welcome stream, I have a timer that counts down to when I start my stream. And I do this using Snaz and Streamlabs OBS. And in Streamlabs, I set up a little area, a text area that updates from a file. And what this allows me to do is to not only count down to a very specific time, but also to have a timer for writing sprints and the like. So that is what we are going to have as well here. And I'm just going to start that. And so this will be, I had it at 10 seconds to test something out. This will be a 15-minute sprint. If you want to do the sprint, you can mute me, and you will see a timer on the stream on the window counting down, so you'll know when the timer will be completed, and the timer will be showing up directly underneath my face here, and we will be able to then rejoin, or you can listen, or you can unmute me, and then we can have that timer. So I have it set for 15 minutes and 10 seconds. So let's see if this gets going. All right, there we go. So we are 6 seconds off, and we will get ready to sprint and go. The Great Decimation of Trilinius is a two-part event, period. The first part is based on the siege of Trilinius that was done with the Good night, DM Stretch. It's 2:20 in the morning. Wow. Yes, Lorraine, we are in the start of a sprint. This is the first time I got my countdown timer right here working. So we got about 14 minutes left, and I'm going to try to see if I can get this whole article blabbed out in before the time. So yeah, Stretch, get some sleep. I can't do it. I haven't seen 2 o'clock in the morning unless I was changing a baby's diaper for years. All right. There we go. Anti-fairy mobs that attacked the Capitol buildings of the Fairy Council. Period. For years, anti-fairy sentiment had been on the rise due to their involvement in all of the governments for the past millennia. Period. Many anti-fairy groups believed that the fairies were keeping the world in a perpetual status quo and not allowing for innovation or for improvement for the benefit of all people across the globe. Period. This culmination of resentment eventually led to a siege that surrounded the chambers. Period. It was decided during this siege that by the Fairy Council that there were many truths spoken by the anti-fairy groups. Period. There were also many fae, comma, evil fairies, comma, who were using the resentment to try to damage the reputation and the abilities and the political power of the Fairy Council. Period. The members of the Fairy Council, comma, under the leadership of name to be determined, felt that there was an extreme position that could be taken to be able to solve the problem of anti-fairy attacks and the growing influence of the Fae over the non-magical humans. Period. This involved the invention of the 16 totems of Sagadorm. Period. The members of the Fairy Council, comma, and the General Fairy Assembly who were gathered intralineous voted to create the 16 totems. Period. This would involve the consolidation of all magical powers from every fairy and fae in Sagadorm into 16 crystal cores. Period. To be able to complete this advanced form of magic, comma, required the entire reserve of recharged cores within the capital buildings, comma, and the sacrifice of the 16 members of the Fairy Council. Period. During the enchantment of the 16 totems, comma, the 16 members of the consciousness of the Fairy Council were placed within the crystal cores. Period. This granted the cores some semblance of sentience and would help ensure that anyone who attempted to use this power stored within the cores, totems, would have to deal with the consciousness of the totem. Period. These consciences embedded in the totems were copies of the members of the Fairy Council. period. Many knew that few of them would be able to survive the siege, comma, so they accepted this form of immortality in an effort to protect the magics of Sagadorm from being used in a way of evil, period. The magics released during this enchantment of the 16 cores was enormous, period. It destroyed the inner sanctum of the Fairy Council chambers, period. There was also a secondary wave of destruction as all fairies and fae across the globe lost their power immediately, period. When the power was released from the now human hosts, comma, all of the magic swarmed through the air like gusts of wind towards the island nation of Trillinius, period. For days, comma, the island nation was bereft. No. Under a siege of Mother Nature, meaning the rushing winds of the incoming magic buffeted the islands and its inhabitants like hurricanes for many days, period. At the end of the consolidation of the magics, comma, the structures of the capital and within miles anything else that had been constructed, comma, were destroyed, period. Those who had sieged the Fairy Council were also greatly harmed, period. Following the Great Decimation, comma, a new era of no magic swept over Sagadorm, period. All of the economies, comma, trades, comma, crafts, comma, cultures, comma, and governments who relied upon magic for their livelihood or power instantly crumbled, period. Chaos, the heavier the culture relied upon magic, the greater the chaos that enveloped them, period. It was many decades until the countries and kingdoms could recover, period, if they recovered at all, period. Some of the royal families were able to maintain control and keep their royal lineage and power intact, comma, others did not, period. The destruction of the capital of Trillinius was seen as the end of an era of enlightenment, period. Many texts, tomes, and scientific knowledge of the world, how it functioned, were lost, period. It would be centuries before the invention of the mechanical ferry would be created, period. The mechanical ferry is a technological device that allows any human to take the power of a crystal core and perform rudimentary magics, period. The end. 1-0 sprint is over. How'd everybody do? Lorraine, I still love your text-to-speech program. Yeah, I love it too, because I don't know how many words I had. Let me count. Everyone who may have been doing the sprint, the 15-minute sprint, count up your words and throw them in the chat, and let's know how well you did. I'll feel bad if I was the only one who sprinted. No, I won't. I got some good work done. Okay, let's Control copy. I'll get rid of the end. I only said that because there's like 10 seconds left and I didn't want us to start a new paragraph, let's be honest. All right. Let's see. Metadata 696. Awesome. Let's go to Nano. Let's, for this writing session, we'll update that. Awesome. Hey, I crossed 10,000 words. I beat my goal, and I'm still 12 prompts behind. That's the fun thing about writing, is it's very, dictation, it's very verbose. I got my prompt done earlier. Hey, good job, Dinosaur Bob. Let me just get back to the whole computer screen here. Wrong monitor. Okay, let's go to community challenges. I'm also sitting pretty at 18 completed articles. Wonderful. Oh, Lorraine. Okay, you're done at 18. Good. Yeah, this was, I think, my 18th one. Yep. Okay, it recorded. All right. Good job. All right, Dinosaur Bob, as promised, let's get into your article, The Free City of Endmere. And remember, I do have one more slot. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this showcase article, and if anyone else is in the chat and they would like to have an article read or critiqued, after I'll do Bob's, I'll do another prompt, and I'll read a second one. And so whomever would like to get in there and purchase, it sounds so crass, I'm sorry, use their channel points to redeem for that thing, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, let's do this. The Free City of Endmere. All right. Oh, we got the coastal frontier lands. Okay, we have, nice. We have Endmere, and then we have the Free City of Endmere. Okay. And just got word, my 2 emotes will be up tomorrow on my stream. Ah, I'm jealous. Well, I still have to draw mine. All right, Endmere is the largest of the free cities. It is the most enigmatic because of the lingering effects of the wasting. Surrounding agriculture barely meets the city's needs. The only resource source the city produces is salted fish, not an attractive commodity. And yet the city prospers. It does so because it has a chokehold on trade, controlling the exit of the Icefell Bay and the trade route to the Glitterhold. The ruthlessness of the 4 families in dealing with threats to their business enterprise contributes as well. Okay. Yeah, the salted fish. You have a son-in-law to clean this up? Okay. Did you ever see the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and how it's sardine? The only thing that island makes is sardines. Yeah. Okay. Endmere is one of the great free cities which, since the Great Strife, are independent of the kingdoms of mankind. Like its sister cities of Icefell and Seagard, Endmere used to be a major city of the First Kingdom. In fact, it was the gateway to the kingdom on the trade road along the Farsi coast. The devastation of the strife saw the city reduced to ruins and abandoned by the kingdom, whose borders receded thousands of miles before the tide was turned and the armies of light won the day. Oh, your son-in-law does the emotes. He does graphic arts. Oh, okay. After the strife ended, the few survivors of Endmore and the surrounding lands gathered together and rebuilt. But jaded by what they perceived as the abandonment of the First Kingdom when their city fell, they vowed that they would never again. They vowed that never again would they bend the knee to any crown. Led by the 4 founders, they rebuilt Endmere into a city which is now one of the most powerful on the Farsi or Icefell Bay coasts. This wasn't your grammar, this was my ability to get words out of my mouth. I like the 2 paragraphs. It's a good start. I would like to, I do like how you have the great strife here. And if you had some additional references here where you have other things in here where you could do links similarly to the First Kingdom, to the 4 founders, which is probably the first 4 people of the 4 families that we talked about in the earlier ones. So yeah. Okay, at the last count, over 120,000 people, representing all of the civilized races of Carterian, claimed to make their homes in the city. History. If not articles, I recommend tooltips. Good suggestion, Lorraine. The city of Endmere was first founded over 4,000 years ago, about 1,800 years before the Great Strife. When founded, it was the great seat of power for the duke that oversaw the eastern marches of the Old First Kingdom. During the Great Strife, its population was decimated and much of its splendor destroyed. The duke and the armies of the First Kingdom abandoned the city after a prolonged siege attack by the forces of the Dark Gods, leaving the population to fend for itself. Shortly after, the city was invaded, sacked, and burned. Yet to be written, but absolutely. Okay, tooltip. Oh, okay, thanks for providing that, the BB code for that, Lorraine. Let's see. I am partial to shorter sentences, but that's just me because when I read things out loud, to be able to say that whole thing. Nice graphics here. Endmere Harbor, ruins of the arena beyond. Is that a picture of the Roman Colosseum? Took me a while to find it on the WorldAnvil tag box. Okay. After the fall of Endmere, though, the tides of war turned in favor of the armies of light. The great strife ended with the dark armies defeated and the gods deemed most responsible imprisoned. Endmere, at this time, was little more than a blasted rubble. Mere hundreds remained where once there were tens of thousands. 4 leaders stepped forth to organize the few survivors, and the rebuilding of the city began. They were shrewd, focusing first on restoring the seaport, building or rebuilding ships, then securing control of the sea trade through Icefell Bay. They knew this business well. 2 were ship captains, one of the Cliffport seafarers' heritage. 2 were merchant traders. Yes, it is superimposed by a ruin. Pixel Bay is wonderful. Yes, it is. I do like how you're getting into the 4 leaders. That was good. That was a good introduction, and I like how you gave them professions that sounded reasonable on why they were able to do that. It would be interesting to know what troubles they faced. You may go into this a little later, so I'm sorry if this is premature, but it couldn't have been easy. And I just wonder, they were shrewd and focusing on restoring the seaport, but what struggles did they have? And that may be a whole nother article. As time passed, the sons and daughters of these leaders carried on as their elders died off, and by the time Endmere was restored to a size that required an actual government, the 4 families had already become that. The people did not complain when this arrangement was formalized by the establishment of the ruling council, ostensibly made up of the hereditary heads of the 4 families. In the years since the strife, the city has not only been completely rebuilt, it is more splendorous than ever. The chokehold on trade results in great wealth being amassed within the city, despite the fact that very little is actually produced here. It is a city built on trade. Yeah, because you've described this as salty fish or dried fish is their main product. How around them couldn't grow enough food, but then again, there's only hundreds as opposed to tens of thousands. Yeah, and I do like how you said here that you recognize and call out that it wasn't, the city had not been completely, not only been, no. Yeah, by the time Eldermere was restored to a size that required an actual government, the 4 leaders didn't finish their work. And they did the work for the benefit of their children, even though they would not see the work themselves. They set a foundation, but their children and their grandchildren, they were then able to build upon it. So I like that concept. I like the concept of like generational ships that are, the people who launch out of away from Earth aren't the people who are going to settle the island. I kind of like that concept. Okay. The only commodity that one might say is produced in Edmere is knowledge. The 4 families like to display their wealth and power by building grand structures, and grand structures attract intellectuals. The Hall of Trade, essentially the Palace of Edmere, is the grandest building in all the city, built by dwarven masters of the finest materials. There are 4 great basilicas gracing Temple Hill, dedicated to the Alavar, Dungar, Humanar, and even Goblinar, who are the gods of light. Across the river, the University of Arcane Arts attracts students who can afford to attend from all over Caterian. The Grand Bazaar market region surrounds the arena, which is the largest gladiatorial combat site in Caterian. Only a few ruins of the original city remain. These are preserved to remind the citizenry what happens when they depend on people not of the city to keep them safe. Yes, it is now 2,000 years, in fact. Oh, okay. So they've been working on that for a long time. Cool. Every kind of good imaginable passes through the city, whether it in legitimate or black market trade. It is said that one can purchase anything in Edmere if one is willing to spend enough time and courage looking and enough gold buying. Yeah, that's a good one there. Okay, good. You have credits here for that. Demographics. Okay, infrastructure. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, coastal frontier line. All right. The ruling council is composed of the heads of the 4 great families that trace ancestry to the 4 founders. So it's a tetrarchy then, where there's basically 4 monarchs that rule over the city. Edmere is a major trading hub which controls the southern coast of the channel separating Icefell Bay from the far sea. It does extensive trade with the coastal towns, but also with the other free cities of Seagate to the northwest, Seaguard across the channel to the north, and Cliffport, home of the great fleet of the seafarer dwarves to the east. Edmere sits along the Great Trade Road, which ultimately links with Cliffport and the dwarven Glitterhold to the east, and the First Kingdom to the west. The city also maintains a large seaport with a number of permanent docks and warehouse facilities to support trade. It is a walled city, but the gates of Edmere have not been closed since they were reconstructed after the Great Strife. Tetra-oligarchy, really. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Good article. Great foundation. Good. I couldn't pick out a lot of the grammar or issues of anything like that. I like the structure of it. some questions that I do have, and if you you don't have to answer these questions, but like, I would like to know more how they maintain such an iron fist on trade. Because if Endmere is a trading hub that controls the southern coast of the channel, let's see, and who's at the north? Yeah, Seaguard across the channel to the north. So we have Endmere at the bottom. We have Seaguard at the top, kind of like the Straits of Gibraltar at the entrance of the Mediterranean Sea. What is preventing people from having a boat and sailing through? How do they control such a tight fix on everything? Because depending on how wide that channel is or how deep that channel is, you might be able to run a blockade. Do they have a blockade? Do they have toll gates or the equivalent that you can have in the ocean? Do they have fleets of ships? Big nasty fleet and arrangements with Seaguard. Perfect. Then I would just want to see that in there, yet to be written. Fair enough. I would love to see then a right here, the second two paragraphs here. I would even say that deserves its own header, maybe economy or trade, and then you could expand upon that to be able to say how they keep an iron control, which is the big nasty fleet. Yeah, very good. Oh, that is a pretty picture. What is studio? Oh, okay, it doesn't really say what it is. Yeah, I could totally see that being a... I did like you mentioned that it was a walled city. Great. Oops. Thank you very much. And good job. All right. With that, all right. I've finished one prompt. Now I'm going to jump into a second prompt. Let's see what the next prompt is. Oh, wait. Go back to do I have my trio board? Okay, so I have this, so I can move that to here. All right, so we have describe a location in your world that is brimming with diverse or bizarre flora or fauna. In keeping with the prompt theme, new heading, Endmere today. Okay. Which prompt was this? Oh, is this the describe a settlement that is famous for a particular reason, and the reason is intelligentsia? Oh no, or the history settlement that was entirely wiped out and then rebuilt. That's probably the one you're talking. That this one was for. Yeah, I have a lot more ideas for these ones near the end that I'm really looking forward to. But I gave myself the challenge to do all these in order. Whether I want to or not. Describe a location in your world that is brimming with diverse... Okay, can I... No. I'll forget this. Let's just start it off. Some of them are burning me out, like the disease one. Other settlements prompt from today. Okay. Yeah, Galladan. I'm not doing them all in order, but I'm trying to get each set of 10 done before I move on to the next set of 10. Oh, that works. Okay. Yeah, I find that the forced restriction will help me be more creative or just more desperate. Not sure which. Okay, I need to have a location. In the world that is brimming with diverse or bizarre flora and fauna. Let's see. Yeah. If there was one I wasn't really looking forward to, it might have been this flora and fauna one. I'm not really into, well, I am into geography a little bit. I just haven't gotten that far into Sagadorm because I've only written 2 stories in the world, and I really haven't built out the rest of it. Okay, how well known is this place? Is it protected or vulnerable? What makes it unique? If it's protected, what's protecting it and how? Why is it bizarre? What's changed them? Was it something in the environment or human imposed mutation gone wrong? Rainforest, coral reef, undiscovered area of space, undiscovered by humans, dinosaur safe place. Why is it diverse? Can it be caused by aliens? Deep sea areas should be a natural area, not a building. It could be something that has all flora and no fauna. I have a map of my world that I haven't looked at for a while. Let me pull that up. Oops. Let's see where I can find it. Here we go. Now please don't laugh. These are, it's called 12 realms because when I drew this map I only had 12. I still need to, that was before I put in all of the other ones, when I figured out 4 times 4 is 16 and not 12. And so what we have here, Grundage, is where I put all of my fairy tales. Well, it's inspired by England. Ile-de-Vent is inspired by France. Rekenwachen is my Scandinavia. I have Al-Riahark and Al-Nahurahark. Those are where I would put my Arabian, the 1001 Arabian Nights. We have Erndefer, which is my Germanic area. We have Yitolimon, Limnon. I think that is my Greek area for that's really hot. I mean, that's the North Pole up there. We have Eshadma, that is Hebrew. We have Xianhu, which is the Chinese. We have Nuroko, which is Native American. We have Veterzemlia, which is Russian. We have Mizukasi, which is Japanese. And we have Motuahi, which is the Pacific Islands. And so that is my world. And this desperately needs to be redrawn. But because Trilineus here in the middle is where a lot of the stuff happens. Where this Vola, the first fairy, is actually from Kurunog, and Kurunog is Klingon. It's a Klingon word that I made up for large volcano or mountain or something like that, using a Klingon English dictionary. And this was the last remnants of the dragons were in Kurunog. And so Vola and the people of North Harbor escaped here and then went up to Trillinius and was able to form the Fairy Council here. They formed a fairy colony here for about 600 years before the Fairy Council started spreading its influence all over the world. So, where to put someplace with great flora and fauna? Motuahi? I'm kind of thinking Motuahi. The reason why is, let's see, how wide? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If that was 6. So these are almost the opposite ends of the Earth. Because I'm thinking, okay, Trillinius could, why would the fairies be drawn to Trillinius? Because I'm thinking, when you think of poles, meaning like magnetic poles. Let me get this out of here. Right. So if you look at some of these things here, like you have your magnetic South Pole, field lines and stuff like that. What I'm thinking about is Trillinius and Motuahi could be like magical poles, the same way we have a magnetic north and magnetic south. That could work. And Trillinius is where all of the magic of the world comes to, and Motuahi is where all the magic of the world comes out. So there could be a lot of volcanoes because it is kind of based on the Pacific Islanders, and there's Pele, which is the Hawaiian goddess of the volcanoes. I wanted to try to redo her story. The finest in blabbing on all of Twitch. Too many cables. Okay, I think I could riff on that for 300 words. Okay, let's break out my spreadsheet. What else do we know about Motuahi? Motuahi, Kalun, it's the month of Kalun, the day of Hydrus. The creature is the eel. They are a water fire element. That the water meaning it's an island, and the fire because of the volcano. Yield. Yeah, I used to think I was thinking I was going to use Esperanto for basis of my made-up words. But that really didn't work out well because I don't know. I just didn't get the vibe for that. Okay, so I think we're going to talk about the islands of Motuahi. Okay, the island chain of Motuahi. All right, we are going to do that. We're going to navigation. We are going to make this summer camp. We are going to save. Okay. Let's see what sections we can fill out. Alternative names. Motuahi. Location type. Archipelago. Maybe. Badlands. Not that, not that. Island. Yeah. I literally have the name island in that. No. Nope. Simulation, that's cool. Ooh, volcano. Okay, let's select island for right now, but let's archipelago. What is an archipelago? A group of islands. It's an archipelago. Because I literally on my picture have an archipelago. Okay, geography. History, tourism, flora and fauna, natural resources, ruler, owner. Haven't figured that out. This is really the first time I've thought about Motuahi, except for naming it and figuring out what kind of fairy tales I want to tell there. Maybe this will help me get some new ideas for Motuahi. Parent location, no. Really, there's not a lot to... Okay, not a lot to fill in. That's okay. We'll go over to... Alright, so let's switch over back to the dictation. Oh, needed... Oh, we could restart the sprint. We need geography. We need history. I don't know if I have a lot of that. Tourism. Flora and fauna. Natural resources. Okay. All right. I think I'm good with that. All right. Okay, let's do another one. Thanks for everyone who survived through that brainstorming session there. I really appreciate everyone that is still here and being a part of this. Let's get another sprint going here. Going back. So yes, the sprint is over. Come on, Alt-Tab. We are going, okay, let's stop it. That will make it disappear. We will start it up again for another 15 minutes. And we will, I'm going to be working on this location article. And then we will, hopefully those who are out there want to do a sprint as well. Ooh, I'm disappearing. Chairs with wheels. Gotta love them. All right, so with that, let's go. All right, 8 seconds. The island nations of Matuahi are a small archipelago of volcanic active islands. Period. They are located on the other side of the world of Trillinius and the smallest of the named regions of Sagadorm. Period. During the formation of Sagadorm, when the 4 celestial dragons were enveloped by the metal dragon of Sagadorm, the magics that were imbued within them formed ley lines across Sagadorm. Period. These were separate from the magnetic lines that were discovered and assisted in traveling and navigating the globe. Period. The magical ley lines were not well known until after Vola became the first fairy and used her sensitivity of these ley lines to guide the people who followed her to the archipelago of Trillinius. Oh, that is really, I can't. Archipelago of Trillinius. I can't let that one go. Okay. The nexus of the ley lines at Trillinius is where all of the magic from Sagadorm flows to. Period. Vola followed this drawing of all magic to a center and was able to find the islands of Trillinius. Period. Motuahi is the opposite nexus of the ley lines, comma, where all of the magic of Sagadorm spews forth from the Sagadorm core and propagates throughout the world. Period. Since all of the magic is expelled in the chain of Motuahi, comma, it is an extremely volatile island volcanically active and volcanically active chain of islands. Period. Because of all of the volcanic eruptions and lava flow, comma, along with its tropical environment, comma, it is a virtual paradise filled with flora and fauna found nowhere else. Period. Attempts to transplant agriculture that grows so easily in Motuahi has failed, even in similar climates, or when the soil was transplanted along with it. Period. The islands of Motuahi have a higher percentage of blessed animals born in its wilds than any other place of Sagadorm. Period. However, comma, they are the most aggressive and difficult to catch, let alone kill. Period. In the early history of the islands, comma, very few outsiders knew of their existence. It was difficult to navigate to and hard to find. Period. Many considered the rumors of Motuahi to be tales of legend, where the gods, dragons roamed and ruled the skies. period. During the reign of the Fairy Council, comma, a very large assembly embassy was created there to capitalize on the high percentage of blessed animals that were born in this area. Island chain. Period. It was the most skilled of all of the rangers would serve in this embassy, comma, as it took great skill to be able to survive an attack from a blessed creature of Motuahi. Period. Okay, 4.5 more minutes. What can I, history. Because I want to give it a history, but I don't want it to... I don't want to base it... I don't know what to base it on. I mean, it is fairy tales. Tourism, flora. Okay, the flora... that is more flora and fauna. This is more history. Geography, history, tourism, flora, fauna, natural resources. Well, if I could talk about the flora and fauna, but I'm not exactly sure. Well, I could put a barking dog in the story. After the founding of Trilinius, and the discovery of the fairy magical ley lines, a set of fairy adventurers and scholars set out from Trilinius to discover the location of the other fairy ley-lined nexus. Period. This was the first major expedition from outside the islands of Trilinius Motuahi to discover the archipelago. Period. The fairy visitors were welcomed by the natives due to their impressive displays of magic, which seemed to be enhanced by their proximity to the Nexus. Period. As the fairies stayed in Motuahi and intermingled with the island natives, indigenous people the resulting fairies were extremely powerful and more in tune with the ley lines and the fire-based magic that spews out of the volcanoes. Period. Sorry, I went a little bit over there. Just had to get that last paragraph done. Okay. Hope everyone had a good sprint there and was able to work on that. Okay, so let's go over and put this in the real article. See how that goes. Okay, switch. There we go. Right there is the geography. All right, let's take this. We'll take history. Really got a lot of these mixed up here, but I think that's okay. Let's see. Lorraine, staring at her vehicle, trying to figure out how to describe the relationship between merchant caravans and town merchants. Would you like to put a link in the chat and we can, I can brainstorm with you if you'd like. I finished my 2 articles, so I am stoked that I was able to accomplish that goal. Okay, community challenge. Galadan, 431 mildly unmotivated words. Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, but it's 431 words that you didn't have written before joining the stream tonight. That's important. Because 64 words. I got none. 553. That's, yeah. Okay, NaNoWrimo. Let's add update progress. Okay, let's get this link. Close that. Over here. Copy link address. I prefer life as a merchant. People are always happy to have us come in, you know? bring in word from elsewhere. We bring stuff in, but you don't want to break the trust towns and cities give us. Caravan leader Zwag Mad Dog. Is that Zog Mad Dog? Merchants are a part of life. Traveling merchants are also a part of life. Okay, so let's talk about this. I set up this idea where there's a relationship based on trust between the two, but trying to phrase it was like, well, yeah, there is, but what is it? Otherwise, there's a rivalry. Vehicle, trying to describe the relationship merchant caravans and town merchants. Okay. Right off of the bat, my question is, do you have guilds? Do you have trade associations? Do you have a government regulatory body that would oversee trade between cities? I'm reaching the point where prompts are about things I don't have a clear image of in my head. So as someone with a history background, I feel the need to go do research that I don't have time for now. Yeah. And that's why I was struggling with this flora and fauna thing. Let me get rid of that. Let me go back to just that thing. So, yeah, Lorraine. I think my delay is like 12 seconds from when I talk to when you guys actually hear it, based on what I see between the monitors. Okay. Not in this part of the world, though a neighbor of a neighbor does. In this part of the world, most people deal in barter rather than coin, because coin is nice, but you can't eat it. I refreshed and it caught up for me. Okay. Huh. I could see why there would be a rivalry between a merchant wagon caravan and the local merchants, because as a caravan, they would have more exotic things. They would have things. They would have things that could not be crafted in that town by the local merchant themselves. I don't know what your wagons do, but surely there's some supply of rare material for town merchants. Okay, maybe. The reason why I brought up a guild is because if you want the merchant, I guess, what do you want? Do you want them to get along? Or do you want them to have a contention so that all of the people in the town are happy to see the merchant wagon caravan, but the merchants are not? Or, I want them to generally get along. Okay. Okay, so how to get... The way that you get business... One way to get business people to get along is to make it mutually advantageous. Yes, a symbiotic relationship between the merchant wagon caravans and the merchants themselves. Because the reason why I asked questions about the guild was because if you had a large enough of a guild in a very large city, they could set up a guild, and they have satellites or franchises out in the smaller towns. And the caravans are more supply wagons that go from city to city to city, bringing stuff to the local merchants, and they would deal directly in coin with the local merchant, but then the local merchant would be willing to do bartering with the local community. That's one way you can have to make them get along, is because they're the same organization. And you could have specialization of the guilds. Like there's a weaponry guild, there's a farmers guild, there's a magical guild, that so that when the weaponry guild comes in from a large town, then they are dealing with the local blacksmith directly, and everyone is happy to see the merchant. Oh, this music. It's a little too epic for me right now. Okay. I'll skip that song. Okay. Does that make sense about that you could have a guild system? You could make a monopoly where by decree of the local council or chief or leader, that merchant wagons are only allowed to do business with the merchants. And so the people are happy when the wagon comes in, because that means the merchants have a new stock of supplies. Like the Wells Fargo wagon, from the musical The Music Man. It's set in the 19 teens, before the Great Depression, and the Wells Fargo wagon was the UPS, the FedEx, the Amazon delivery of its decade. And so the Wells Fargo wagon, everyone was happy to see it, because that meant a large package was coming. And they have a whole song about it in that musical, about the Wells Fargo wagon coming to town. What a fall from grace. Oh, we're talking, Wells Fargo Bank. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It was a good song. I was Mayor Shin, and as a senior in high school, and that was our musical production when I was a senior in high school, and I was Mayor Shin. So it was a fun play. Okay, Lorraine, does that help? Hopefully. Oh, big text. Yeah, I think that makes sense. My brain was thinking it would be akin to an honor system where caravan would buy from merchants and carry those over towns and cities further along. And then when those caravans circled back, if the local merchant goods were sold everywhere really well, the caravans would pay the merchants a kind of bonus, or have more of a good than the merchant would want and give it to them. Yeah, it helped. I'm not an economics person. Okay. Yeah, there's microeconomics and there's macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the economies of different countries and how they interrelate with each other, like the dollar versus the pound versus the yen versus another currency. But This sounds more like a microeconomics thing, or the economies of individuals and communities, where um, they they would. I mean, if you think about a merchant, especially in a fantastical setting, in a role-playing game setting, they are the purest form of capitalist you can have, where they survive not because they can. Yes, a guild system would be a huge stabilizing force, because a merchant, they can't make anything. A blacksmith can shoe a horse. A farmer can grow a plant. A cobbler can make a shoe. A um, a carpenter can build a house. What can a merchant do? They can. They have business relationships, and they buy and sell goods, hopefully with enough profit that they would be able to survive themselves in their family. So they are the purest form of capitalism, and they need to know what they won't make a deal unless it benefits them. And when you have two merchants working together, they will not do a trade unless it benefits both of them. And a guild system would definitely grease the wheels, reduce the friction in trading, because the merchant would know, I have a steady supply of these kind of products coming in from the guild, from the larger town, and that the merchant wagons would know, this town is really good in product X. Say timber. It's on the edge of a forest. They got a really good sawmill there, and they can just crank out timber all year long. And so people will, the caravan will bring in the fine goods, the manufactured goods, and they would take the raw materials produced by the village to the craftsman, or wherever the craftsman may be. And so so if you think about and you establish, what is this town good for, and how can this benefit a guild, and why would a guild think this town is beneficial? Because if the town has no benefit, a merchant caravan wouldn't come. If there's no profit for the merchant caravan, why would they come there? And then the town would die, and the people would disperse and go to another place where they have something of value that they can trade and attract people. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. So okay, yeah, hope that helps. So cool. Well, working on I've accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish tonight. We did 2 prompts. We worked on 2 articles. Is there anyone else who would like to is there a topic that anyone would like to talk about? That was a huge help in greasing my brain's wheels. That's what we're here for. That's why we're a community of writers and world builders, because we all have a huge variety of backgrounds that can help everybody grow together as a community. And we can definitely help each other out and get better understanding of how to make a world work better. And besides, if you have some corrupt merchants, that is just oodles of fodder for a story or an RPG campaign. Because if you need, I mean, what's a merchant guild other than a thieves guild that has a blessing of the local constabulary or the local government? Of course there are corrupt merchants, exactly. And whether that is the small town hero that is destined to do great things, or an RPG campaign of, hey, why is, the heroes come in town and they're being held. Oh, okay, Lorraine, idea. There's this concept that was really popular in, not to break the trust of the local. Yeah, but see, there is warning not to break the trust. Okay, yes, that's important. Here's something for you to look up. Here in the Rocky Mountains, especially in mining towns, there was a mining town was literally a town built by the company, and there was a company store. And the company store in the company town that housed everybody that was in the mine literally owned everybody's soul. And they controlled everything. So you could take this guild even to the next step, where, yes, corporate towns, where you are a miner and you got paid $100 a month. This was 100 years ago. That was a lot of money. They got paid $100 a month, but to go to the company store, it cost $110. Okay, you have logging corporate towns. I owe my soul to the company store. Yes, exactly. That's exactly the song I was trying not to sing, but I failed at that. So if you could have some of these guilds set up like a company store or the corporate town, and you could have others that are more free, more egalitarian, and with a larger diversity of guilds that come to that town. And you could then have the conflict of a new merchant guild trying to weasel its way into a corporate town. Coal wars, another good corporate oppression topic. I'm not familiar with that, but I can imagine coal mines, especially in the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah. Actually, I have an entire country based on corporate towns, and it's the neighboring region. Right. So you could have the corporate towns trying to influence their... there's many ways to conquer a kingdom, and economically is slow but effective. And I think basically the company store thing coming to head with the government shooting up the miners. I think West Virginia and Kentucky. There's this story, October Sky. It's a movie, October Sky. I think it has a young Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Yeah, it's a 1999 film. Yeah. Yeah. And so when I think of a corporate town, I think of October Sky, because the Rocket Boys, exactly. That is, I could really imagine one of your towns being like that, and maybe you had 2 merchants or something like that. Anyway, I think yeah, we can get inspiration for everywhere. Throw a dragon or a couple magicians in there. Instead of the inspirational teacher, you have a kindly wizard who is trying to break people out of the dependency cycle on the corporate store. There's many opportunities with that. So yeah, I really like that story, and it's weird to see Jake Gyllenhaal so young, but that was 30 years ago. Oh, I'm old. All right, let's take Let's see how we're doing. It is coming to the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. We've been going for almost 2 hours here, and I'm glad to have been able to share these ideas with you. Lorraine, I do have a mining town. I was trying to figure out how the town leader could gain control of the whole subregion. So corporate town might be how she did it. Yes. Yeah, I would see that, especially if, well, how evil or manipulative is this town leader? Or maybe a better term, how Machiavellian? Because is she willing to subvert the surrounding towns to make them fail, so that she can come in as the benevolent helper, the helping neighbor in sheep's clothing type thing? Buy out the other mines, buy out other merchants, and just slowly gain a controlling monopoly over the subregion. Yeah. Benevolent villain. Ooh, those are fun. Those are fun to write. Yeah, okay, you got this. You so got this. All right. Thank you so much for everyone for coming tonight and helping me and helping each other with these writing prompts. I look forward to working again. Writes up a new time. Yep. I hope that everyone has a great night. Well, I'll look to see who Lorraine, thank you so much. Write up a new town. Oh, new town. Okay, thank you so much for the bits. I really appreciate that. Sorry about that. So I'll be back here same time tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Propacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with another hour or two. Probably need to do two prompts a night until I get caught up, so that we make sure that we get all 33 prompts in on time. So, Sudan, your name sounds new. Thank you so much for coming here and being a part of this stream. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, I'm definitely willing to throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall, because I think there's a lot of opportunity to do that we don't really get to have now, because we don't have in-person writing groups. So if this can be a place where we can come and not review articles, but throw spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks, I love that metaphor. Yeah, we can do that as well. Maybe I'll add that as another channel point thing, so that people would be can know that that's something that we do on this channel, because I love the brainstorming. Oh yeah. Do you guys remember who Gallagher, the comedian, is? He was really popular early in my childhood, and he would come out with the large mallet, and he would slam mallets on watermelons and just spray everyone. Gallagher, he's hilarious. But he did this bit about chocolate, or he called it chocolate, but it was actually fudge. And he would take this big glob of fudge in the comedy arena or in the auditorium and just throw it on the wall. And he says, doesn't matter who you are, you'll come in, you'll see that chocolate, and you'll know that's good chocolate. Yeah, he was probably early 80s. Yeah, he was probably, oh, Gallagher. Let's see if I can even, Gar. Gallet. Oh, yeah, he's 73 years old. Wow. Yeah. Okay. He started his comedy in the 1969. If you want just some fun humor, the Sledge-O-Matic. With that mustache, definitely. Hey. Yeah, Gallagher. He was a fun comedian with his Sledge-O-Matic, because it doesn't slice or dice. It just it just destroys fruit. Okay, let's see if we have anyone to raid. Okay, it looks like the Roll Society is doing a Dungeon and Dragon stream, and but it looks like he's doing world prompts. Okay, so let's go and raid Roll Society and be able to talk to them. Remember, when you get over there, remember our raid cry, Lemon Raid, and let them know where you came from, and go support other creatives, especially during this month of summer camp, as we're all trying to help each other build better worlds, better communities, and better people. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.